kind of second edition of the History of KUCB. This is Liberation DJ, coming from Liberation DJ's desk. We're going to do just a brief part two on the history of KUCB. KUCB was kind of put together in 1979, 1980. Miss Joanna Cheatham, Brother Charles Knox, and quite a few other people, kind of had a discussion at Joanna's house. We used to meet at Joanna's house all the time. And we talked about the idea of having a community education radio station here in Des Moines, Iowa. Now, in the past, there's been radio stations here in Des Moines, but nothing like what we was talking about putting together, a community education radio station, 10,000 watt, be able to cover the whole city and even go outside of the city of Des Moines. It's interesting about the shows. People were so excited about being on radio that they didn't want to miss their shows. That's why we never had a problem with people doing the shows, because nobody wanted to miss them. And they was excited about being on the air, letting their family, their friends, letting people know that they were going to be on the radio. I recall a real important point when we first got ready to go on the air. I remember this in 1980, and I remember Joanne saying to me to make sure we let everybody know. We started calling everybody that we could think of. We got on the phone, told everybody to tune in to 89.3, that KUCB was getting ready to make history. And from that point on, that's exactly what we did. We made history with KUCB. I remember calling Miss Davis up and letting her know that I said, Miss Davis, turn your radio on. We getting ready to make history. We getting ready to go on the air. And I remember her turning the radio on and she started screaming and hollering when she heard the station come on, because most people didn't think, that we could do it. And we were saying that we knew we had the capability, we knew we had the capacity to do it. It was just a matter of putting a format together and doing it. And so I always want to give credit where credit is due. Our beloved brother, Charles Knox, who was really the brain thrust behind the scenes, and not so much behind the scenes, but in the forefront too. He was a brain thrust behind community radio station, because he had organized and put a radio station together in the Quad Cities. He had organized and put one together in Mississippi, a number of places. So he was instrumental in putting a radio station together in Waterloo, Iowa too. He was the brain thrust behind that. So we knew we had somebody that knew what they were doing, and we knew we had somebody that was could actually do this thing. So it was our job just to go ahead and just put the format together. So we did that. We put a format together for, like I said, for the serve the community for 24 hours. And in the morning time, we had a gospel wake-up show. We had a format together where we had drive time music, kind of like in the morning time to get you to work. We had a midday talk shows. We had a noon prayer every day that we'd do. We'd ask the various ministers to come on board and do a noon prayer. We got that together. We had inspiration music in the afternoon. We had jazz, we had reggae, we had blues, we had hip hop, we had old school, we had quiet storm, you name it. We had a format for everyone and everybody. And so when I look back, like I said, over the history of KUCB, I can honestly say that we had a format that truth was the wealth of freedom, and our motto was we communicate to educate and organize. And we met our motto. We did both of those things. The things that we set out to do, we accomplished those things. We have oftentimes said here in Des Moines, there will be a long time before anyone is able to lay down the kind of history we did with radio station KUCB. Some people may try, some people may attempt to duplicate what we did. But trust me, believe me, it'll be a long time before anyone is able to put together a station like what we had. And you know, as we had, would have people to travel in Des Moines, and as we communicated to people outside Des Moines, I'm talking about Chicago, I'm talking about California, I'm talking about New York, Detroit, any of the major cities, people would tell us that in the major cities that they were coming from, was living in or staying in, they didn't have a station like KUCB. See, now you have a lot of stations in major metropolitan areas, you do. But I'm talking about the kind of format that we had. You don't have those kind of stations. You don't have them now, and you didn't have them then.